In the shadowed annals of history, few crimes rival the systematic plunder orchestrated by the Third Reich during World War II. Under Adolf Hitler's regime, the Nazis didn't just wage war on nations and peoples, they declared war on culture itself. This is the story of Nazi stolen art, from the hidden depths of salt mines to the long-awaited returns in 2025, a tale of greed, destruction, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. It began in the 1930s. As Hitler rose to power, art wasn't merely decoration to the Führer, it was a weapon of ideology. Hitler, a failed artist himself, envisioned a grand museum in his hometown of Linz, Austria, a Führermuseum that would showcase the pinnacle of Aryan culture. To fill it, the Nazis launched a massive looting operation across Europe. They targeted museums, private collections, and especially Jewish families, stripping them of priceless treasures under the guise of safekeeping or outright confiscation. The Third Reich's art policy was twofold. First, they purged what they called degenerate art, modern works by artists like Picasso, Kandinsky, and Van Gogh, deemed corrupt by Nazi standards. In 1937, the infamous degenerate art exhibition in Munich mocked these pieces, drawing crowds to ridicule them before many were sold off or destroyed. Meanwhile, the Nazis coveted classical and Renaissance masterpieces, paintings by Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Rubens, sculptures from ancient Greece, rare books and tapestries. These were seen as symbols of Germanic superiority. The looting intensified with the invasion of Poland in 1939. Special task forces, like the Einsatzstab Reichsleiter Rosenberg, swept through occupied territories. Led by Alfred Rosenberg, this unit catalogued and seized art with ruthless efficiency. In France alone, over 20,000 items were stolen from Jewish collectors like the Rothschilds. Trucks loaded with crates rolled into Paris's Jeu de Paume Museum, where stolen works were sorted, some for Hitler's collection, others for Hermann Göring's lavish estates. Göring, the Luftwaffe chief, amassed his own hoard, trading looted art like currency. Continues the gripping saga of Nazi stolen art, from the hidden salt mines to the remarkable returns unfolding even in 2025, as Allied forces closed in during the final months of World War II. The Nazis' desperation peaked. In Altaussee, the vast salt mine became one of the largest repositories for their plunder. Over 6,500 paintings, sculptures, and other treasures crammed into its cool, stable tunnels. The mine's natural conditions, constant 8 degrees Celsius temperature and low humidity, preserved delicate works like the famous Ghent altarpiece panels by Jan van Eyck, Michelangelo's Bruges Madonna sculpture, and priceless Vermeers intended for Hitler's Linz museum, stacked in wooden crates, wrapped meticulously. These masterpieces sat amid tons of rock salt, guarded by SS personnel. In early 1945, as defeat loomed, regional Nazi leader August Eigruber ordered the destruction of the hoard to deny it to the Allies. 8,500 kilogram bombs were placed near the main chambers, ready to collapse the tunnels and bury the art forever. The plot thickened dramatically. Local miners, aware of the plan, risked their lives to sabotage it. They removed the fuses from the explosives and hid them, preventing the detonation. Meanwhile, Austrian resistance members alerted advancing American troops. The Monuments, Fine Arts, and Archives program known as the Monuments Men rushed to the site. Led by figures like Captain Robert Edsall's team inspirations, they arrived just in time. In April 1945, U.S. soldiers secured the mine, disarmed the remaining threats, and began the painstaking extraction. One by one, crates were hauled out under armed guard. The Bruges Madonna, wrapped in blankets, emerged intact. Van Eyck's altarpiece panels were carefully inventoried. The operation saved an estimated 12,000 items from Altaussee alone, part of a broader effort that recovered over 5 million cultural objects across Europe. Yet not everything was recovered immediately. Some works had been dispersed earlier, sold on black markets, or hidden in private collections. Göring's personal stash at Hall was partially seized, but much had already vanished. Post-war chaos complicated matters. The Allies established collecting points in Wiesbaden and Munich to catalog and restitute art. Jewish survivors, displaced and grieving, struggled to prove ownership without documentation, destroyed in the Holocaust. Many pieces entered the hands of dealers who claimed good faith purchases. The Cold War shifted priorities. Some governments dragged their feet on returns to avoid diplomatic friction. Decades passed with slow progress. The 1998 Washington Conference Principles urged voluntary restitutions based on moral rather than legal obligations. Museums began provenance research, but gaps persisted. Heirs faced statutes of limitations, laches, defenses, and high costs. Cases dragged through courts like the prolonged fight over the Cassaro Pissarro delves deeper into the human stories behind Nazi stolen art, the families shattered, the treasures lost, and the tireless quests for justice that persist into 2025. Beyond the grand caches and salt mines lay countless personal tragedies. Consider the Rothschilds in France. Baron Édouard de Rothschild's collection was ransacked in 1940. Crates of masterpieces by Watteau, Fragonard, and others were trucked to the Jeu de Paume for sorting. Some ended up with Göring, others vanished into private hands. Jacques Goudstikker, the prominent Dutch Jewish dealer, fled Amsterdam in May 1940 with over 1,100 works including Rubens, Giotto, Titian, Rembrandt, and Van Gogh documented in his iconic notebook. Tragically, he died aboard ship, falling into the hold. Nazis seized the rest. Many pieces surfaced decades later. In 2025, a breakthrough, Portrait of a Lady, by Giuseppe Gislandi, stolen from Goudstikker, was spotted in an Argentine real estate listing above a sofa in Mar del Plata, traced to a former Nazi official's family via Göring's aide, Friedrich Kagin, who fled to South America with looted items. Argentine authorities recovered it after journalists flagged the photo. This discovery highlights how digital sleuthing revives cold cases. In Belgium, Samuel Hartveld's gallery was looted in 1940. His 17th-century painting Annius and his family fleeing burning Troy by Henry Gibbs landed in Tate, Britain. In March 2025, following a UK spoliation advisory panel review, the British government ordered its return to Hartveld's great-grandchildren, acknowledging the racial persecution that enabled the theft. Across the Atlantic, the Cassaro family's fight over Camille Pissarro's Rue Saint-Honor, Apres Midi, F80 Pluie continued. Lily Cassaro Neubauer sold it under duress in 1939. It passed through dealers before entering Spain's Thyssen-Bornemische collection. In November 2025, California's Attorney General intervened to defend state law favoring victims, challenging Spanish good faith claims in a decades-old battle. Germany advanced significantly in 2025. After years of criticism for its non-binding advisory commission resolving only 26 cases since 2003, a new binding arbitration tribunal launched in December. Claimants gain unilateral access, bypassing museum consent. This addresses Washington Principles gaps, promising faster resolutions for pending cases like Picasso's Madame Solar or Max Beckmann works. Other returns. In July, Germany restituted Ferdinand Georg Waldenler's Hansel's Erst Ausfahrt to Greta Klein's heirs. France returned 3 F. Dora Lowenstein paintings seized in 1940. Virginia Museum of Fine Arts received Ernst Ludwig Kirchner's man lying in bed self-portrait after restitution to Fischer heirs, who donated it back. In September, a Belgian museum returned a Peter van Plas still life to Max Stern and Hugo Heinemann heirs via mediation. These stories underscore the enduring pain. Families like the Sterns explores the ongoing battles, landmark cases, and the evolving legal landscape driving Nazi stolen art returns in 2025. As the year closes on December 31, 2025, the momentum for justice accelerates. Amid new mechanisms and high-profile restitutions, in the United States, the Holocaust Expropriated art recovery here. Act of 2025 passed unanimously in the Senate on December 10, extending the 2016 law beyond its 2026 expiration. Sponsored by senators like John Cornyn and Richard Blumenthal, it eliminates defenses such as laches, statutes of limitations beyond a 6-year discovery window, international comity, and active state doctrines. This levels the field for claimants, preventing dismissals on technicalities. Applauded by the World Jewish Restitution Organization, it ensures cases proceed on merits, aiding families in long fights like the Cassarers. Pissarro at Madrid's Thyssen-Bornemische Museum. Germany reformed its system dramatically. In March 2025, federal and state governments signed an agreement establishing the arbitration panel for stolen goods from the Nazi era, operational from December 1 like the prior non-binding advisory commission, resolving just 26 cases since 2003. This tribunal offers unilateral claimant access. Survivors or heirs initiate proceedings without museum consent. Decisions are binding, guided by evidentiary simplifications, acknowledging Holocaust-era documentation gaps. Pending cases, including Max Beckmann's The Night, now face faster resolution. This shift addresses criticisms of slow, voluntary processes under the Washington Principles. Europe saw concrete returns. France restituted 3 F. Dor Lowenstein paintings in September, seized in 1940 and misidentified for decades. The heir plans to loan them for a 2026 Paris exhibition. Tate Britain return. Henry Gibbs's Annius and his family fleeing burning Troy to Samuel Hartveld's great-grandchildren in March, following a spoliation advisory panel finding of racial persecution looting. In July, Jacob Jordian's painting looted from Belgian resistance fighter Joseph Schepers D. Bergstein was returned to his grandsons after discovery in France. A stunning transatlantic discovery. Giuseppe Ghaslandi's portrait of a lady from Jacques Goudstikker's collection resurfaced. In August, via an Argentine real estate listing in Mar del Plata, photographed above a sofa, it traced to Friedrich Kagin, Gring's aide who fled to South America post-war with looted art. Argentine prosecutors recovered it in September. Goudstikker's heirs, led by Mireille von Saar, pursue restitution. This highlights digital vigilance reviving dormant claims. Other 2025 actions. Munich museums returned works to Ernst Magnus heirs. The Royal Library of the Netherlands restituted a F. Lycian Rops painting. Germany accelerated Polish art returns. Films like The Spoils on Max Stern and Plunderer on Bruno Los raised awareness. As 2025 ends, concludes this series on Nazi stolen art, from the hidden salt mines to the meaningful returns that continue reshaping history in 2025. As the year draws to a close on December 31st, the global effort reaches new heights, blending legal reforms, emotional ceremonies, and unexpected discoveries that honor victims and preserve cultural heritage. The HERE Act of 2025, passed unanimously by the U.S. Senate in December, now waits House approval and presidential signature. This extension removes the 2026 expiration from the 2016 law, blocking defenses like laches, international comity, and active state doctrines. It empowers heirs to pursue claims on merits, directly aiding families in U.S. courts such as the Cassarers, whose Pissarro remains in Spain's Thyssen-Bornemische amid California's intervention to uphold victim protections. Germany's breakthrough came earlier. In March, federal and state governments signed an agreement creating the arbitration panel for stolen goods from the Nazi era, launching December 1 like the old non-binding advisory commission. Claimants now initiate unilateral proceedings, yielding binding decisions with simplified evidence rules to account for lost Holocaust records. Pending matters, including Max Beckmann's The Night, gain swift paths forward, fulfilling Washington principles more effectively. International momentum builds. In April, 12 nations gathered in The Hague to coordinate returns of looted treasures to Jewish communities. France, the Netherlands, and others advance cases. Amsterdam restituted. Matisse's odalisque to stern heirs as a forced sale recognition. Belgium and Poland see accelerated efforts, including Polish art repatriations from Germany. A dramatic 2025 highlight. Giuseppe Ghoslandi's Portrait of a Lady, Contessa Colleoni, looted from Jacques Goudstikker's collection, surfaced in an Argentine real estate listing in August. Photographed above a sofa in Mar del Plata, it linked to Friedrich Kagin, Göring's aide who fled post-war. Argentine authorities seized it for protection. Goudstikker heirs, led by Mireille von Saar, pursue full restitution amid court proceedings. These advances tribunals, laws, discoveries reflect collective resolve. Over 100,000 works stay missing, but each return restores dignity. Families embrace paintings and ceremonies. Museums display plaques acknowledging histories, and education ensures never again. The salt mines. Shadows fade as light of justice prevails, proving stolen beauty can return home. Wraps up this comprehensive series on Nazi stolen art, from the hidden salt mines to the historic returns, accelerating through 2025. On this final day of the year, December 31, 2025, the landscape of restitution shows unprecedented progress, though challenges remain for the tens of thousands of works still unaccounted for. The U.S. Senate's unanimous passage of the Holocaust Expropriated Art Recovery Here Act of 2025 on December 10 marks a pivotal victory. This extension eliminates the 2026 sunset clause from the original 2016 law, while barring procedural defenses like laches, international comity, and active state doctrines. Sponsored bipartisanly, it ensures claims proceed on substantive merits, bolstering efforts like the Kasserer family's ongoing pursuit of Pissarro's Rue Saint-Honor, dans Leper s Midi, Fadi Pluie, at Madrid's Thyssen-Bornemische. California's Attorney General reinforced state protections in November, intervening to defend victim rights under local law. In Germany, the arbitration panel for stolen goods from the Nazi era began operations on December 1, following the March agreement between federal and state governments. This binding tribunal allows unilateral claimant access. Survivors and heirs can initiate proceedings without current holders' consent, addressing the old advisory commission's limitations. Only 26 resolutions in over 20 years. Decisions follow simplified evidence rules recognizing Holocaust-era documentation losses, promising quicker, enforceable outcomes for pending cases. Europe-wide, 2025 delivered tangible justice. France returned 3F d'Or Lowenstein paintings in September after 85 years. Belgium repatriated a Jacob Jordian's work to resistance fighter descendants. Tate Britain restituted Henry Gibbs's Annius and his family, fleeing burning Troy to Samuel Hartfield's heirs in April. Discoveries persisted. The Ghoslandi Portrait of a Lady from Goudstikker's collection, flagged in an Argentine listing, advanced toward restitution. Germany accelerated Polish art returns, and international coordination peaked with April's Hague gathering of 12 nations focused on Jewish community recoveries, yet the scale endures estimates. Place over 100,000 artworks missing from the Nazis. Plunder of 650,000 items. Museums face criticism for inadequate online provenance transparency, hindering claims. Still, 2025's reforms extended here protections. Germany's binding tribunal, digital vigilance embody moral commitment under the Washington Principles. As the year ends, each return echoes the miners' heroism in Altaussee, the monument's men's rescues, and survivors' resilience. Stolen art's journey from darkness to dignity continues, ensuring history's treasures reclaim their rightful homes and victims' legacies endure. Serves as the epilogue to this epic series on Nazi stolen art, from the concealed depths of salt mines to the resolute returns that define 2025 and promise continued justice beyond. As December 31, 2025 draws to its close, the year stands as a watershed in the long fight for cultural restitution, marked by legislative triumphs, institutional reforms, and and poignant personal victories. Amid the lingering shadow of over 100,000 missing works, the HERE Act of 2025, unanimously passed by the U.S. Senate on December 10, represents bipartisan resolve to extend and strengthen the 2016 law, eliminating its 2026 expiration and barring defenses like laches, international comity, and active state doctrines. Now advancing to the House, it clears procedural barriers, allowing claims like the Cassierers, enduring battle over Pissarros, Rue Saint-Honor, dans Leper s Midi, F80 Pluie, to be judged on merits. California's Attorney General's November intervention underscores state level commitment to victim protections in this transatlantic saga. Germany's new arbitration tribunal for Nazi looted art, operational since December 1, following the March federal state agreement, introduces binding decisions and unilateral claimant access, replacing the advisory commission's slow, non-binding model that resolved only 26 cases in 2 decades. Co-chaired by distinguished jurists, it simplifies evidence rules to reflect Holocaust-era losses, fast-tracking pending matters such as Max Beckmann's The Night and Picasso's Madame Solar. This shift aligns more closely with the Washington Principles Call for Fair Solutions across Europe and beyond. 2025 yielded concrete progress. France restituted F. Dore Lowenstein works. Belgium returned Jacob Jordian's The Return of the Holy Family to Resistance heirs. Tate Britain handed back Henry Gibbs' Annius to Hartveld descendants. The Hague's April summit united 12 nations in coordinated efforts. Discoveries persisted, from the Gislandi portraits' Argentine resurfacing to accelerated Polish repatriations. Museums faced scrutiny for insufficient online provenance, transparency, yet voluntary returns and mediation advanced. The human dimension endures. Each restituted piece revives family stories. From Goudstikker's notebook to stern heirs' reclaimed legacies. As survivors pass, digital tools and moral imperatives sustain the quest. The Altaussee miners' courage, monuments, men's diligence, and claimants' perseverance converge in these returns, proving that stolen heritage can be reclaimed, dignity restored, and history's wounds addressed, if not fully healed. The pursuit continues into 2026 and beyond, ensuring no treasure remains forever lost in the shadows. Concludes this definitive series on Nazi stolen art, from the clandestine salt mines of Altaussee to the transformative returns that marked 2025 as a turning point in cultural restitution. On this final day of the year, December 31, 2025, we reflect on a chapter that began with systematic plunder and ends not with closure but with renewed commitment to justice, memory, and moral accountability. The Nazis' looting machine was unprecedented in scope. An estimated 650,000 cultural objects stolen across occupied Europe, from Jewish private collections to national museums, via under Rosenberg, Göring's personal acquisitions, and Hitler's envisioned Linz museum fueled a cultural genocide intertwined with physical extermination. Salt mines like Altaussee preserved masterpieces than Eyck's Ghent altarpiece, Michelangelo's Bruges Madonna, while booby-trapped against Allied capture. Local miners' sabotage and the monuments. Men's timely arrival in 1945 saved thousands, yet dispersal into black markets, private vaults, and good faith collections left deep scars. Decades of slow restitution followed. The 1998 Washington Conference principles urged voluntary action, but legal hurdles, statutes of limitations, laches, provenance gaps frustrated claimants. Families like the Goudstikkers, Cassierers, Stearns, and Hartvelds fought tirelessly, often against institutions reluctant to acknowledge tainted titles. 2025 changed the equation. The U.S. HERE Act extension, Senate passed December 10, dismantles procedural barriers, ensuring claims reach merits. Germany's new binding arbitration tribunal, launched December 1, grants unilateral access and evidence leniency. Addressing decades of criticism, European returns accelerated, Lowenstein paintings to France, Jordaens to Belgium, Gibbs to Hartevelde, heirs at Tate, plus Polish repatriations and the Argentine Gislandi discovery, international summits, digital sleuthing, and museum provenance improvements signal systemic shift. Yet the work is unfinished. Over 100,000 items remain missing. Many in private hands evade scrutiny. As the last survivors pass, the burden falls to heirs, researchers, and governments. Each return beyond monetary value restores dignity, educates generations, and confronts history's thefts. The salt mine's damp echoes fade. In their place, gallery walls now bear plaques of truth, ceremonies of reconciliation, and the quiet triumph of reclaimed beauty. This is not merely art history, it is human history reclaimed. The pursuit endures, ensuring that what was stolen in darkness may yet return to light forever. Extends the legacy of Nazi stolen art restitution beyond 2025, reflecting on the enduring impact and finished quests, and the moral imperative that carries forward into the future. As the clock strikes midnight on December 31, 2025, closing one of the most active years in provenance, justice, the narrative does not end, it evolves. The salt mine's secrets, once buried in darkness, now illuminate a global reckoning with cultural theft and human resilience. The 2025 breakthroughs set precedents. The HERE Act extension, enacted into law in early 2026, will reshape U.S. litigation for decades, removing time-bar defenses and compelling institutions to confront provenance flaws. Germany's binding arbitration tribunal, already hearing initial claims, offers a model for Europe, claimant-driven, evidence-flexible, and enforceable. These mechanisms address long-criticized gaps in the 1998 Washington Principles, shifting from voluntary goodwill to structured accountability. Looking ahead, experts predict accelerated momentum. Digital tools, AI-assisted image recognition, blockchain provenance tracking, online auction monitoring will uncover more hidden works. The Gislandi Portraits 2025 Argentine discovery proves how social media, real estate listings, and journalistic vigilance revive dormant cases. International cooperation may deepen. Expanded Hague-style summits, shared databases among museums, and pressure on private collectors could surface additional pieces from the estimated 100,000 plus still missing. The emotional core remains human. Each returned artwork revives personal histories. A child's portrait once hanging in a Vienna apartment, a landscape cherished by a Dutch family before deportation. Restitutions do more than restore objects, they reaffirm identity, heal intergenerational trauma, and educate publics through museum labels, exhibitions, and school programs. Films, books, and survivor testimonies ensure the story endures. Challenges persist. Private collections often evade scrutiny. Some nations lag in implementation. Funding for research and legal aid remains limited. Yet the tide has turned. The monument's men's spirit lives in today's provenance. Officers, heirs advocates, and ethical collectors who return works unprompted. The miners who risked everything in Altaussee symbolize quiet heroism. Modern restitutions honor that sacrifice. In the end, Nazi stolen art is not merely about paintings or sculptures, it is about civilization's conscience. From plunder in the 1930s to justice in 2025 and beyond, the journey reminds us that what was taken can be given back, that memory defeats oblivion, and that beauty, once stolen, can still find its way home. The final chapter remains unwritten, but the pursuit of truth and restitution will not cease. Stands as the ultimate reflection and forward vision in this exhaustive series on Nazi stolen art, from the treacherous depths of hidden salt mines to the unwavering pursuit of returns that redefine 2025 and will shape cultural justice for generations. As the final seconds of December 31, 2025 tick away, we close not with an ending, but with an affirmation that the theft of beauty is never permanent, that memory triumphs over erasure, and that restitution remains one of humanity's noblest ongoing endeavors. The Nazis plundered with ideological fervor. Hitler's failed artist dreams of a Linz super museum, Göring's lavish hoards, Rosenberg's systematic raids. Salt mines became desperate. Vaults Altaussee's booby-trapped chambers holding Van Eyck, Michelangelo, Vermeer preserved yet threatened with destruction. Miners' bravery monuments. Men's daring rescues in spring 1945. Saved, irreplaceable heritage. But the scattering that followed black market sales. Silent private collections prolonged suffering for decades. The 1998 Washington Principles offered hope through voluntary action, yet barriers endured. Legal technicalities, lost records, institutional reluctance. Families waged solitary battles. The Cassierers, Goudstikkers, Sterns, Hartvelds became symbols of persistence against odds. Then 2025 arrived as a reckoning. The HERE Act extension dismantled U.S. procedural walls. Germany's binding tribunal granted claimants power to compel resolution. Returns cascaded. Lowenstein in France. Gibbs at Tate Britain. Jordians in Belgium. The Ghislandi portraits dramatic Argentine recovery. Digital tools, international summits. Provenance transparency initiatives turned moral pressure into tangible justice. Into the future, the path brightens. AI provenance matching, global databases, blockchain tracking will expose hidden works. Private collections face growing ethical scrutiny. Unprompted returns increase. Education integrates these stories into curricula, ensuring younger generations understand cultural theft's cost. As the last direct survivors fade, their heirs, advocates, and institutions carry the torch, proving restitution is not charity but obligation. From Altaussee's echoing tunnels to modern gallery walls bearing honest plaques, the arc is clear. What was stolen in hatred can be restored in truth. Nazi stolen art saga is humanity's mirror reflecting greed's depths and justice's heights. The journey continues. Each return a quiet victory, each missing piece a call to action. Beauty, once looted, finds its way home. Conscience, once silenced, speaks forever. Thank you for joining this journey through history's shadows into the light of restitution.